Are you new to fantasy football? Wondering where to get started? Well, I just finished my first season and I'm hooked now. So, in this video, I'm going to share with you my experience. If you're just getting started and wondering where to begin, this video is going to help you. Stay tuned. Welcome. My name is Wade. You're watching another edition of DHN Sports Fantasy Football. Now, if you're wondering where to begin with fantasy football, in this video, I'm going to break it down to you in 3 simple sections. We're going to cover the platforms of fantasy football. Second, we're going to cover the different league types. That's going to be very important to know. And then lastly, we're going to go over quite possibly the most important element to fantasy football, and that's scoring types. So, let's begin. If you like this type of content, make sure you leave a comment, hit that like button, or even subscribe if you find value. Now, let's get into these platforms. There aren't many to choose from, which is a great thing because sometimes having too many choices can be overloading. But the top platforms would be ESPN, DraftKings Fantasy, Yahoo Fantasy, and Sleeper. Now, ESPN, you can look at them as the fan favorite, the most popular one in the room. They also have the simplest interface. So if you're new to fantasy football and you aren't quite familiar with how to navigate different lineups, things like that, where to find stats, news, ESPN would be the best platform because of its design. Now, DraftKings Fantasy, this would be the market leader, not by name, but by financials. They have paid and public and private leagues. Essentially, DraftKings is where you want to get the money if you're getting into fantasy football. If you're just starting, I wouldn't advise you to take that route, not until you get a couple seasons under your belt. With that, our next platform is Yahoo Fantasy. I have come to understand that this is the OG in the market alongside CBS Sports Fantasy. They have dynasty leagues, they have public and private options, as well as some paid leagues as well. It's definitely suited more towards the experienced fantasy footballer. So after you spend a couple seasons on, let's say, ESPN, and you want to migrate to a more feature-heavy, much more nuanced platform where you have a bit more control, Yahoo, CBS, and our next one, Sleepers Fantasy, would be the platforms for you. Sleepers, I can tell this is expert level fantasy, okay? I downloaded the Sleepers app. I've been messing around with their online ecosystem, and yeah, there is a learning curve. So if you're just getting started, I wouldn't necessarily point you in a direction of Sleepers yet. However, they do have tools outside of the league that you can use, like mock drafts, and they have a great resource for news and stats as well for fantasy. And to that point, another platform I need to drop in here is fantasypros.com. To my experience so far, they more so help you manage your league. So that'll be another video in and of itself. There's your platforms where you compete in your leagues, but there also are other tools that help you manage those leagues. So Fantasy Pros is one of those. Just to recap the platforms though, ESPN, fan favorite, easiest to use. Then you have DraftKings, market leader, public, private, paid leagues. That's where the money is. Yahoo, CBS, more experienced fantasy players, as well as sleepers. Now, let's get into league types because this is going to be very important when you're first getting in. I know it took me back a bit when I first got involved, but you have Dynasty, which is where it's more similar to running an actual team. You pick your rosters, and those rosters stay with you. Then there is a rookie draft, similar to what we see in April in the league, and you manage your roster a lot similar to an actual NFL GM. This is obviously for the more experienced fantasy footballers, people who have been in it for 4 to 5 years, typically have a couple of dynasty teams in several leagues. But that's typically how it goes with the dynasty. You start with an initial roster, and as the years go on, you add, remove, things like that. Another league you have is the keeper. With this league, there's new drafts every season. However, you have the option to keep up to 2 players. The league I'm in, there is no keepers, but I've seen certain leagues where you have one up to two people that you can keep, two players that you can keep on your roster from year to year. That gives you a little bit of elements of dynasty with the, freshness of having to draft new players every season. I haven't experienced that. The one that I have experienced and the league type that I played in last year was a redraft, also looked at as just standard, where every season you pick a new roster and you run with that roster for that particular season. And at the end of the season, everything starts over. Now, you do get to stay in your league, but your roster, again, you have to redraft it every year. So when you're in a redraft league like this, I'm learning your research is your best friend. You have to know how to scout players every year. I think that adds to the fun of it. I really do. Now, with different league types, also consider draft types. You have the typical running order. Also, I've seen draft types that are set by the league managers or the commissioners. So they will vary depending on which platform and which league you participate in. The most popular form of draft type is the snake draft, where in round one, you may pick fifth, and then in round two, your pick may be ninth. I know in the mock drafts that I've been doing for snake drafts, let's say you pick first. In the first round, you'll have the first pick, but in the second round, you'll have the last pick, and it'll flip in that order. This is designed to keep things fair, keep things fun. I personally like it myself. So with that, we've covered platforms, we've covered league types. Now let's get to the biggest and quite possibly most important is the scoring types. And it's not that many, but each one dramatically changes your strategy and your approach. So you have standard scoring, which mainly focuses on touchdowns and yards. So when you're picking certain players for your roster, you want to pick players who have a tendency to get a lot of yards after the catch and who lead the red zone. Okay, they are kings of the red zone. Then you have half PPR or half points per reception. This is a scoring setup where not only are touchdowns and yards included, but you also get half a point for any receptions. So this is what makes wide receivers and running backs so important in fantasy football, because they're the ones getting the receptions. And of course, tight ends as well. That setup isn't as common as standard or the third one that I'm going to drop on you, but I hear it offers the experience from both the hardcore standard format and the more popular, which is the third version, full PPR format or full point per reception. This was the scoring type that I had in my league, which was full PPR. So 1 point per reception plus any yards plus any touchdowns that would be scored. This has become the most popular scoring type. You'll see this on many ESPN leagues. This is actually how you see the numbers really run up when you're playing fantasy. So just to recap again, scoring types, you have standard, which focuses more on touchdowns and yards. Half PPR, same as standard, but you're getting that extra 0.5 per reception. So if you have a guy on your team that is a ball hog, gets many receptions, then yeah, you're definitely going to want him high up on your rankings list. And then you have full PPR, which is the full point per reception, plus yards, plus touchdowns. That, I think it's catching on because it captures all the situational elements of the game, but that's just in my opinion. So with that, guys, we've covered the platforms that you can choose from to get you started. We've covered the different league types that you need to be aware of, as well as the scoring systems. If there is anything else that I may have missed in this video, please don't hesitate to drop it in the comments. I look forward to talking with the fantasy football community in 2026. I'm a newbie around here, so, bear with me. Be nice. And with that, guys, I got some more content coming out on the channel, so make sure you stick around. And yeah, I haven't come up with an outro yet, so I'm just gonna end the video. I'll see y'all in the next one.